guys, and welcome to a new vlog. I kind of forgot this is the reset, so I don't really know what kind of reset activities we're going to be doing this week, but I do want to go through the weekly TBR, first starting out with our quote. That is, "Dear old world, you are very lovely, and I am glad to be alive in you," by Ella Montgomery, who I think is the writer of Anne of Green Gables, if I'm not mistaken. So we are going to go through the books. I do think I'm going to finish this book probably tomorrow or the next day, because we are traveling in this vlog. We'll get to that in a minute. But this is Appalachian Reckoning, A Region Responds to Hillbilly Elegy, edited by Anthony Harkins and Meredith McCarroll. So this is a critique of Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. Next, this book I should be finishing in like the next hour, and that is The Everlasting by Katie Simpson Smith. This is, you know, kind of our main focus, but this is following, I think, 3 or 4 different people spanning 2,000 years in Rome, Italy. The main theme here is love, loneliness, history, and what has that everlasting impact on the world. Next, we have my mood read, which I do think I will finish this week. I don't know what day, and that is King Nix by Kirsten Backus. This is about Anna, who is married to a man who is a crypto scientist, which is what he calls himself, but he is researching these strange events, like when fish fall from the sky, lights that are unexplained, you know, that kind of thing. So he is writing a book about it. Then he gets the support of a very rich man who owns a canning company. This is taking place in predominantly 1918. And they get invited to Mr. Arkle, that's the man, his private island, which is in upstate New York up near Canada. And he invites them to the island, but when they get off the train and they're waiting for the ferry, these 3 women come up to them and they're like, "Something strange is happening on the island. We have reports that multiple girls have gone missing," because it turns out Mr. Arkle and his wife ran a school for girls who were in prison and trying to, you know, get a life after they get out of prison. So they are going to school to be like maids and just, you know, people who work in the house. And some of those girls are disappearing. Anna's like, "This is strange. We gotta, you know, have a mystery about it." So that's that book. Next, we have Edge of Eternity by Ken Follett, which is my ebook pick. And right now, because this book is spanning from the early 1960s to my understanding to the 1980s. So what is happening right now? Khrushchev, who was the first secretary of Russia, he has stepped down, and Russia is just having a change in leaders. The Soviet Union is, and this is like the first time they've ever had a leader step down rather than dying in office. So there's a lot, like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? What's going to happen to us? So that is everything I'm reading this week. Now, as I told y'all, I'm going to be traveling. So my birthday is next week, and by the time this vlog's up, I'm already going to be home. But for my birthday trip, I am going to Richmond, Virginia. I know what, that's like, who goes to Richmond for their birthday? I don't know, but we are going there. I have actually never been to Richmond. I've only driven through, and I mean, it's kind of funny because my dad is from Newport News and went to school in Williamsburg, which is right down the interstate from Richmond, and he has a ton of Richmond stories. I'm actually gonna be like, can you give me a tour of where some of your stories took place? But Richmond's the capital of Virginia, and I do, in my opinion, think it's a literary city. Edgar Allan Poe called the city home, and there is, he called several cities home, I should say, like a handful of cities home, but there is a museum that we always drive by, and I'm like, I want to go to it. So I'm finally going to get to go to the Edgar Allan Poe Museum. There, as we're talking about being a literary city, there are several bookstores. I think there's 2 that I'm going to check out, and then there's a ton of little free libraries. Like, I don't think I've ever seen this many little free libraries in the city before. And just to my understanding, it's very like academic city. Like, I feel like, I don't know if it really is, but just in my eyes it is. Also, there's so much American history there. We're going to go to a cemetery where some presidents are buried. There's the state capital. Virginia was, you know, one of the first states. Civil War history is there as well, because Richmond was the capital of the Confederacy. And me saying this, I'm speaking on history. Don't think I'm endorsing the Confederacy or anything, because I'm not. It was an awful place. But again, we have to learn from history. So we had that. Again, there's Revolutionary history, because where Richmond is located, it is by the fall line. So this is a city that would be very hard to invade because of the rocks and all in the river. To get ships up there you know, because this was, you know, history, it was a long time ago, hundreds of years ago, it would be a city very hard to capture. So there's so much history there, and that is where we are going to be going this week. I'm just looking at, yeah, so I don't know what my reading is going to look like. I've been blessed that our main focus of the vlog is going to be a graphic novel. We'll talk about that later today, but that's just going to make it a little bit easier, because I think those are, I have an easier time focusing on graphic novels, and from the art style that I've seen in this one, I do think it's going to be one that is very accessible. It's not a bunch of words everywhere that can just, to me, that can be overwhelming once I start it, and you know, you have to adjust to the writing style. But that is what our week is going to be looking like. Richmond is about a 4.5 hour drive. It is, I'm leaving tomorrow and coming home on, I think, Friday is the day I'm coming home. This is actually a bit of a this is going to be my longest vacation in years that I've gone on. So that is going to be different too. I am kind of nervous leaving Delilah that long, but because she's my baby, so, you know, leaving my dog, but I know she's gonna be well taken care of, so but still, you know, I just like, she's a baby. So I'm going to probably get into the Everlasting, because I have edited my TikTok, I filmed my videos. Yeah, so alright, so I finished the book and we're going to go through Call Pal. So I have read this book before. I don't remember if I did it as a mood read or a normal read, but I gave it a 4-star the first time I read it, and it still is somewhere in the 4-star category, because I did love this book. So we are going to start with the characters as per usual. I do have notes on my hand because I wanted to make sure to get to these points. But characters, I am going to give a 4-star to, if my pen will work there. Okay, 4 stars for the characters. And actually, the first time I read this book, I kind of struggled with the characters and connecting to them. But with the audiobook, I just felt more personal connecting to them, and having that multicast, multi-narrator audiobook, I think very much helped with that. And I just had a better understanding of why they felt the way that they felt, why did they do the things that they did, why they were the way that they were. So I went to the table of contents at the start of the book, where it has, you know, each chapter. And I think before, I've talked about before when I first read it, that love is the big theme here. Each of these people is showcasing a different kind of love. So we have, I think his name was Tom, who is our biologist in 2015. And for him, it's seeing how a marriage can fall apart and the love that a father has for a child. Then we have Giulia de Medici, who is a Medici princess, but she is black. And I think hers is really finding love for yourself, reclaiming that love for yourself. Then we have Felix, who is our monk in medieval times, and he's someone where I think it's really a mix of all these things. I'm not exactly sure on him. And then with Prisca, it is a love of God. Yeah, her devotion, I mean, she's a martyr. It was quite moving to read her story, and she was my favorite the first time around, and I would say still my favorite. But Felix, I'm fascinated by Felix. I have a lot of questions about him. But as I said, we are seeing how love, all of it in different forms. But we do have the character of Satan, who is in the second person perspective and just randomly comes in at different instances in our story. Now, when I first read this, I never realized that Satan's a woman. I didn't know that till the audiobook. And that has me thinking and just rethinking everything, because Satan is like a bitter ex in this, with God being Satan's ex. And that just has me thinking so much about that. So Satan being a woman, and then the prevalence that Satan has in our life, because with God, you do have that relationship with God, and God is always there, in my opinion, but you have to form that relationship. When with Satan is this everlasting being that is just there, automatically there, and is always, you could always fall into that temptation, I guess. Love is the same thing, I guess, but with love you do have to build a relationship, but I don't think necessarily, but I do think it is something that is tempting, and it's only just there. yeah, that's a lot of great themes, and I'm going to be thinking about that a lot. Atmosphere was a 5. This is Rome at its core. Yeah, that's all I can say for that. Writing, I would give writing a 4 as well. There's nothing that I hated about it. Yeah, and there was a lot that I was highlighting. Good excerpts, thought-provoking writing, and with this kind of story, because it is such an epic story, but only being told in 331 pages. Because I was thinking last night when I was going through my list of books that I have on my, online TBR, seeing which books do I want to keep on there, which ones do I not want to keep, and I would see books that are like 300 pages listed as epic, and I'm like, how can you do, how? But this one it makes me realize, yeah, you can do it. So plot of 5. Yeah, we're gonna give the plot of 5. Because I talked about the themes of love. Loneliness is another, and I think that how we talked about love, the questions that come with love, the emotions that come with love, the pain that comes with love, it dives into all of that, and how it can really make who you are, destroy who you are. It can make life, it can take life. Love. But yeah, loneliness I think is a direct correlation of love, that somebody who is lonely often seeks out love, or maybe they seeked out love and it didn't work for them. And then we do have the history aspect as well that I talked about greatly in my review the first time around, and we have past, present, future. Now we don't have any of these characters who are in the future, but Satan does make reference to things that do happen in the future if we can trust them, which, can you? Shivers. Okay, yeah, that's kind of scary. But and Ghost kept getting brought up. There are several characters, like side characters even, who ask the question, do you believe in ghosts? And that is in one of my all-time favorite movies, The Polar Express. That is a question that scene is so creepy when you're a kid, where the hobo is like, do you believe in ghosts? So now I'm trying to find all these pieces of, are there ghosts, are other characters ghosts in certain sections, and is Satan taking on a personification in this story? All very intriguing. So intrigue, we are going to do a 4, because I wasn't fully, yeah, it's a 4. And logic, yeah, everything I think makes sense, but it is open-ended, so that's going to make me give it a 4, because I am wanting to know. I have a lot of questions. I think Priska's story ended quite well, and I'm thinking just how her story has lived on through thousands of years in the book. A bit too open-ended, personally, for me, that I don't think it had a logical ending for most of our characters. And enjoyment, as I said, I would give a 4. So this is looking somewhere in the high 4-star range. We are going to do our math here and see what we end up rating the book. So 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 5 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 30 divided by 7. So we're getting a 4.28, so that will go in as a 4.25. So obviously one of the best books that I've read this year, and I did definitely enjoy it more on reread, and I can definitely appreciate that. I don't know if I was doing cop out when I originally read the book the first time around, but yes, this is a great book, and I definitely recommend you pick it up. But now I have to go to Petco to get dog shampoo, and then and maybe some stuff for the trip. Then I'm going to go get some lunch at Chick-fil-A, but I did want to do my video review, and then I will write my review when I get home after I eat. I just packed my outfits for my trip. So we went to Petco, and Penny peed on the floor in there, so she's still on UTI medication, so it's making her like pee a lot and peeing, like not caring where she pees. Luckily, it hasn't been on carpet yet, knock on wood, but we were looking at the cat, and I was like, oh my gosh. So luckily we were where they do like the training for puppies, so like they had paper towels and like the spray, so I cleaned it all up. And like, I hope I got it good enough, because I don't want anybody to fall, because obviously I didn't have one of those wet floor signs, and maybe I should have asked, but I was like, it looks pretty good to me. So yeah, that happened. That's never happened to me before in a store, but obviously like I've seen it happen to other dogs, so it was a store for dogs. to let y'all know, Petco. We are about to get into Here by Richard McGuire. Yeah, Richard McGuire. This is a graphic novel, and recently there's been an adaptation made that has Tom Hanks in it, who is, you know, maybe the greatest actor of all time, if you ask some people. I think that man is, and I think she's my favorite actress. Is she the greatest of all time? I don't know, but we're going to talk about what this is about. Very, very short synopsis here. And this is, so here is the story of a corner of a room and of the events that have occurred in that space over the course of hundreds of thousands of years. And that you just saw with the Everlasting, how that spanned 2,000 years. That is just something that I love so much, especially to see one place. And I love when a place becomes a character, which we kind of saw with the Irene Solo book. That name is so long, I can never get it right. I Gave You Eyes and You Look Towards Darkness. Is Satan going to be a character in here too? Is that going to happen again? Because I'm like, why does he or she, I said it in my review at one point, why does it keep coming up? And what I'm reading, is the universe trying to tell me something? I don't know, but satanic panic over here. So we're going to be starting this graphic novel. I don't know when this was published. Okay, it looks like 2014. But as I said, yes, they have made an adaptation, and I have not watched it because, you know, I like to read the book first. It's kind of giving me fall vibes, if you see the leaves up there and everything, and just the color palette here is kind of giving fall. I don't know though, so maybe that's just me wishing for fall, but I'm going to go log all this into my bookish social media. Love the hardcover of this without the dust jacket. That, I want to eat it up. Okay, so this is like the corner of the house, you know. I don't know, y'all can't tell that that's a corner right there where my windows are, but that's what's going on here. But I am going to start this now. I just finished here. I know I'm sitting here being like, what did I just read? I didn't expect to read it all in one day. It's 304 pages, but a lot of the times there might even just be one word on a page. There is mainly the art and the setting is the main thing here. And I have no idea what I'm rating this. It's somewhere in the high to 3-star range, because I'm just like, what was that? So I do have notes on the book to talk about with y'all, and actually I can put the book right there. That'll sit better than the jacket. And if you're wondering, like, how do I annotate graphic novels, I do not like write in the book, but I do just have my little notepad, and I actually forgot I was taking notes, so I was like, I need to type this in on my phone, and I'm like, no, I have a notepad. But the first thing right off the bat that I noticed is there was just a lot to look at picture-wise, because we would have like 2 time frames on the same page. So I will show you an example of early on, so you know you don't get spoiled. So this one actually has 3. So we have 1623, which is this like woodland background. Then we have this woman in her living room in 1957, and then we have this cat in the room in 1999. So I'm like, okay, what? I have to follow all these 3 stories, and then they might not even be, you know, on the next page. See, it's different every page. Like here we do have this same story going, but then see, it's only something different. So I was having a hard time following it, of knowing where to look. And so it was kind of difficult for me to follow the story, but I'm kind of emotional after reading it, because our home and this piece of land, wherever you are, whatever land, experiences everything that could be love, laughs, sickness, injuries, disaster, parties, dancing, playing games, listening to music, certain smells, eating certain foods, certain gifts being given. The home experiences all of that. And it just makes me want to hug my home. Like, I'm about to cry over here. It makes me want to hug my home and just thank it for being a place where all these memories were. And I think memory is a big theme here. Just makes that emotional attachment to your home. Like, you really feel that emotional attachment, and that leads me into this point of has to be more than a physical thing. This building has to be more than something physical. Like, all those memories are made in that place. Like, I don't think the world and life is what it appears to be. Like, there's so much that goes into everything, and it honestly blows my mind. And that's why I know I talk about religion a lot, but that's why I feel like there has to be something. There has to be a religion. There has to be a system to the universe. Like, this couldn't just happen, could it? Like, it's so much to think about. It's a mind-blowing thing. But also, I'm really confused by the characters, which has not a central part of the story. I don't think it's supposed to be. I think this setting is our main thing in the story, but I'm just like, how are all these people connected and who's who? Because there was like this one family, you know, that we meet in the 50s who were seeing their family picture every year, and I'm like, okay, so are our ones, you know, past that in the 90s, are they related to those same people? Like, I just had a lot of questions and everything, so I'm gonna write my review and then see where that rating would be, because I saw so much confusion. That's why I'm like, is it like a 2.75? Because it didn't do a whole lot for me, but I don't think it's bad. I think it has a good idea. I don't know what the point was, and I'm just very confused and have a lot of questions, and was getting frustrated by, I'm like, how is this all connected other than this lot of land? So we're just gonna have to write a review. So this book will not be going to Richmond with me. It looks like the Chalice and the Blade, is that what it's called? My nonfiction pick of the month. Last time we traveled, I traveled with a nonfiction book, so it's going to be an ebook. I'm going to read it on ebook, but for the sake of the vlog, I will bring the physical book with me so y'all can see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it, because I'm a very visual person and have to see the book when the person's talking about it. So I'm going to write my review, second review being written on the day. Yeah, I don't even know what to think of this. Guys, I am packed and ready to go. I'm wearing this two-piece set. I don't really have like a summery two-piece travel set, because y'all know I had the sweatsuit for the colder months. But I have everything packed. The vacuum's just going in there behind me, so waiting for him to finish up. And yes, my vacuum has a name. They ask you to name it. His name is Jaws. But that is what is happening right now. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but it's Tuesday. I know I only started to talk about my hair on camera, but this is what happens when I pat my hairbrush before I brush my hair. I did not do my skincare either, so all that is gonna have to wait for Virginia, but that is what we are dealing with. I tried to do a high ponytail, but what do you do when you have bangs? When you're in that situation? I guess you make them look cute, but like, I look like George Washington. I look like a little schoolboy from the 1700s. Yeah, you have to be able to laugh at yourself, let me tell you. And I look like really tan or something. I forgot to get the glasses where it doesn't do that, and these are Coach, so they were expensive and I didn't add. So I was like, I don't want to pay that much money. I didn't realize that would have made me not have the reflection, and as somebody whose job is being on camera, I didn't think that through. I have made it to the hotel, so there's a mighty fine chance that I might get interrupted while filming this clip, but I do want to show y'all. So this is the Hampton Inn. I don't know, Glenn's side was the road, I think, but here's the bathroom, the mirror. I know I love hotel mirrors that have the lights around. Like, can I have this in my real life? So toilet, oh, there's no bathtub though, which sucks because I prefer bathtubs. So yeah, that is a for me. Then we have the full-length mirror right there, coat hanger. Then I am guessing this is a closet. I've never seen a closet where the door goes like outward like that, so that's interesting. But we have the closet right there, which I do use the closets and these things. But then we have the bedroom, so this is, I'm the only one in here, and they switched it. So this was originally like my dad's room, but at the front desk they switched it, but you know, it still has his name on it. So this is, it looks like a little storage space. Do we have a fridge? We do have a fridge, microwave, and then so you don't really have any more privacy with your stuff, so hopefully you're not trying to hide things from your family or anybody. But then we have a desk, which I love when a hotel has a desk, but when usually if there's a desk there, it's not going to be a table to eat at, vice versa. There's a table to eat at, there's not going to be a desk. But last week we did not have that issue when I stayed in a hotel. So again, another mirror. I don't think this one lights up. Yeah, what are these guys when there's like nothing? Like it's not an outlet, it's not a switch. Then this is my view. We have a pool view, which, you know, nice. Yeah, so it's 6 o'clock. So we're not going to get into the Chalice and the Blade today because I do want to go out and eat. Now this is an old-timey thermostat here, but I'm good with 71. Let's actually do 68 because to make it really cold and, you know, I don't have to pay for it. So that is the hotel room tour. My outfit is from Revolve. It's We Wore What, Who Wore What, but yeah, the straps are really big and they're not adjustable, so that's why they're like that. But yeah, I have not done my hair today. I don't have on any makeup, so I don't think I'm gonna do any makeup, but I do need to do my skincare because I haven't done that, so I'm gonna do that and brush my hair. Again, probably go out to eat, but that is, I feel like I've stuck all my teeth, but that is the hotel room tour. I totally forgot to acknowledge that Ozzy Osbourne died today, which, I mean, he is a legend. That is a rock god right there. But I just got back from going to the little free libraries. I went to 3 of them maybe, and I didn't have much luck. One only had 2 books in it, with one I already owned, one, you know, that was a mystery or thriller thing that I was interested in. Then there's one I went to had success, and I'll show you what that book is. And then the next one had a ton of books, but none of them intrigued me. There was 2 books that I had, The Help and, I'm trying to get this chair right, and Hamlet. But yeah, just, so I'm hoping when we go to like the cool areas downtown and not the suburbs, that there will be cool books. But I got a novel love story by Ashley Poston. So this is a local author for me because she's from South Carolina, but this I was like, this is her new book, but I think she's had a new one since then. But this one came out in 2024. And the character, she loves books, so Elsie, she is a big book lover, and one day gets thrown into the town that is in her favorite romance series. So that's something with Ashley Poston's books. At least they're kind of like magical realism, like I don't know if that would, yeah, I would say magical realism vibes. So that is what this one is about. I am about to get into King Nick's and probably finish King Nick's. I'm not seeing, because some, you know, sometimes hotels will have the little papers you can write on, and I'm just counting on that since the last hotel I stayed in had one. So it looks like I'm gonna have to write in my journal or something. I'm gonna have a sweet treat though, because I haven't had anything sweet today, but it's 8:59, so I'm about to get into my reading. Guys, I had not realized that King Nick's is based, I've seen it in the slides, but I realized it's based on a true story. I did not know that until the authors note that Charles and Anna were real people, but it just, you know, made a historical fiction of what Anna's life might have been like, and if there were missing girls, of what might have happened to them. So that is, I had no idea that this was based on, you know, a real story. So characters, because I just finished the book, I did like the book. I would say it's like a 3-star, but we are going to do Call Pal and find out what we are going to rate it. Now this is my last mood read of the month. I did think, I was like, what if I went in and started the book I got at the little free library? But no, I don't think I'm going to do that because I just don't want to, I don't want to make anything more confusing than it already is. So I wish I had a better place. Can I like set it up on here for y'all to be able, no. Okay, but we're talking about King Nick, so hopefully y'all can get an understanding of that. So with the characters, Anna is the character that I feel like the one that I have the most thoughts on. She's our main character. I did like our side characters. I didn't dislike any of our characters or feel, you know, but with Anna, the one negative would be that she has a bit of like a savior complex, that she's like, I gotta save all these girls if they're missing or not, you know. And it makes sense because she is somebody who came from a impoverished background in New York City, you know, thinking the Industrial Revolution, that time period. She had a rough upbringing, and I think that she just doesn't want to see other young girls in that situation, and that's what makes her feel like she has to save them all. But that just, I don't know, I didn't like all that, because I just felt like she was just diving headfirst into things and not because she is a grown woman, mind you, like a middle-aged woman, and it's like she didn't ask for like she didn't care what her friend thought, she didn't care what her husband thought, like she just dove headfirst into things, which I mean, I understand there are people like that, but it just with these certain situations, it kind of bothered me at times. But she was a bit of, at times it seemed like an unreliable narrator, which is definitely interesting. I'm sorry if you hear my watch hitting the desk, but I'm gonna give the character work overall a 3. I was between a 3 and a 4, but now that I'm actually talking out my thoughts of the savior complex thing, yeah, so very kind of reminiscent of Claire from Outlander, which with Claire, obviously we had a lot more time to develop the character, and you know, she has her flaws, she has her good traits as well. So that's that. So atmosphere, I would say a 4. I did love it. And this is taking place in upstate New York, up near the Canadian border. I think this would be a really good book to read like the first week of November, because as you can tell by the cover, this is kind of a spooky book, but it's a thriller, you know, it's not a horror. And I think it would just work well going into those colder months, but you know, stick into fall. So when I do my fall recs TikTok, this one's gonna be on there to let y'all know, unless I read like books by August 1st or like, yeah, August 1st. Because that's when I filmed that video, which I don't think I'm gonna read a ton of fall books by then. But you know, so atmosphere, again, just kind of like spooky, eerie. And I think the author did a great job at making it seem like everything on this island is not as it seems. And it has a very like claustrophobic feel to it, because we're on an island, and especially back then where there hadn't been bridges built yet for cars to go from the mainland to the island. They only had a ferry to rely on, and the river, the lake, it can freeze over at any moment, because remember, we're in upstate New York in like November. So yeah, it's very claustrophobic, eerie feeling, and I do think the author did a great job with that. Writing, I had no complaints with the writing. We'll give it a 4, because I did, you know, take several pictures on my phone because I wasn't annotating this book of just instances where I was like, man, that is really good writing. So actually, let's see if I can read any of these excerpts to y'all. They're easy to pull up here on my phone. Yeah, right here, you know, being human. At least not to imperfect human eyes. We were small, entangled in it all. We'd never get a view of the whole machine. So that's just something about life, how we're all just little things and we're never gonna see that bigger picture. I mean, I think we do when we pass away, but you know, when you're going through these events, you're not ultimately gonna see how is this going to end, or how did I get in this situation necessarily when you're in it, and then you can be like, oh, this is what led to that. It says, but sometimes we understand some things in a crude way, didn't we? We heard a faint echo of the universal order, enough to get us from one end of our mortal years to the other. Though we might be chauffeured by a crumple-headed praying mantis with Google eyes, I think it's Google eyes, and rubber hose, okay. Could we not pray clumsily, maybe nonsensically, but still, could we not pray together? So I liked that. And then this one, the last word hung in the air, a beating heart in the dead room. Friend, not a spouse or a family member, someone to whom I was connected by love and nothing else. A word that a man like him can never understand. So yeah, I do think there were good excerpts of writing. No, it's not my preferred favorite writing style, but I still think it was a well-written book. Now, the plot itself, I would give a 3. This isn't the exact kind of story that I'm necessarily drawn to, with it being a mystery and everything. And I think there were definite pacing issues. This is definitely a slow burn. This book is only 304 pages in length, and then 306 if you include the author's note. And it just felt like we're constantly waiting for something to happen. And then when we have like Anna and Stella just going into the woods and something creepy that might, you know, have actual, like, it might have not been something creepy, but they think it's something creepy, that these happenstances keep happening, and that got a little bit repetitive to read about. So it just felt like we were building to something. Then when that actual something happened, I was really having to suspend my disbelief, because it was just so out there, and I'm like, this is really where the author went with this. Like, this just seems insane and just unbelievable. So that's where I have to go with the plot. So intrigue, yeah, I'll do a 3 as well, because I was really curious of who Mr. Arkle is. What is this? Because they're building up this legend and this lore around him. So I was really intrigued to meet him and see what was up with this island. So I do think the intrigue was good, but again, with those pacing issues and logic, I'm giving a 2 just because the route that the author went with it, I'm just like, that is so out there. But enjoyment, as I said, I would give that a 3-star overall. Yeah, I'm writing this on a napkin to let y'all know. And we're going to do the math here to see what I'm going to end up rating the book. So 3 plus 8 plus 6 plus 5 is 22 divided by 7. So this is getting a 3.14. So I think that's like a 3.25. I'm gonna have to do math, and I don't want to keep y'all here because that takes me a little while to do math. So I think that's closer to 3.25 than a 3-star. So that's the rating. This was a good book. So again, I would recommend this with a maybe. If any of this sounded intriguing to you, I would recommend that you I just got back from all my adventures 2 days, so I don't know how well the footage is, because some, like, when, especially at like a museum, I'm like, oh, what do I record, what do I not record, like, you know, like, I don't know what y'all would want to see. So first I went to 2 parks. One was with the National Park System, and one was just like a city park. I don't know if I would recommend. They have great views, and I don't know if it's because of funds right now or anything like that, because, you know, all these places like park rangers being fired and all of that are let go. So I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but like they weren't kept up well. Like the grass was really high, just litter everywhere. Where you're walking wasn't really like even. It just looked run down. So I don't know if that's normal or what. But then I went to the Edgar Allan Poe Museum, and that is where the kitties were. I know one's name is Edgar, but I don't know what the other one's name was, because I think she was younger, and because they used to have one named Pluto, and I got a magnet of him. So all my Poe stuff's in the car. I can't show you all that right now, but that is the cats there. So we went all to that museum. I don't know if he was born here, because Poe's parents were traveling actors. We read a book about him back in, I think it was in October, sometime in the fall time we read it, about his mysterious death. But he did call Richmond home. He's called a lot of places home, if I'm being honest with y'all. So we went there. Then we went to the Hollywood Cemetery, which is where James Monroe and John Taylor are buried. They are US presidents from back in the day. I would say Monroe's even a founding father. After that, I was so hungry, so we went to Capitol Ale House, and I had some home-style mac and cheese is what I got. I also got a sweet tea, which is over there. I poured it into my cup. So I got that. The tea isn't as, so I wouldn't say it's, because I've had tea that's, you know, not sweet at all, and I hear an airplane, and y'all know if I hear an airplane, I got to look on the map and see on the radar and see what it is. It's gonna be a lab one. Oh no, it's a private owner from somewhere up in the mountains over there. So we got our food and we went and ate at the Capitol building, the state capitol of Virginia, We didn't get to go inside. They just weren't having tourists, I guess, at the moment. So we, as I said, we ate on the grounds, and then we went to like the different statues. Like they had the one for civil rights, which sounds like a really inspiring story. Barbara, I'm forgetting the last name, but a 16-year-old girl who arranged a protest at their like very poorly run segregated high school, and just seeing young people doing great things, it makes me kind of emotional. Sorry to hear the vacuum in the hallway. So there was that statue. There was, I will say, there was a Jefferson Davis statue, but they have taken down a lot of the Confederate statues, because I think there used to be like a whole road of Confederate statues, which they have since taken down. But you don't know, Jefferson Davis was the president of the Confederacy, so they had a statue for him. They had one of this man who was like a surgeon. I had never heard of him, and the statue had like cobwebs on it, so like they need to clean that up. But then I found this great monument that was all just about women and different impacts. So they had like Native American women, then they had frontier women, Martha Washington, suffragettes. So just, you know, going through the course of history, and it was just really, I loved that monument. Then they had a bell tower. So then we went back to the car and we were like, okay, there's a Barnes & Noble on the way back. And I will be going to indie bookstores, so don't think I'm like, I just went to Barnes & Noble on this trip when there's indie bookstores. No, we will be doing that tomorrow. But I did go to Barnes & Noble and I picked up 2 books. So I did not know about the special edition of Circe by Madeline Miller. So I totally regretted unhauling Circe, because since even if this book wasn't completely for me, she's one of my favorite figures in Greek mythology. So we have Circe by Madeline Miller, and it has these orange sprayed edges with the map on these end pages, and then like the ocean and the boats on those end pages. Also, this book is one that I haven't heard of, but when I saw it, I was like, is it going to be the Fulvia that I think it's about? And it is. So Fulvia, the woman who broke all the rules in ancient Rome, by Jane Scott. Yeah, I'm so excited for this book. And it has these, it had this picture. So Mark Antony and Adia are my favorite characters on HBO's Rome. And because Adia was heavily inspired by Fulvia, the character was. And I just, those are my 2 favorites on the show. So I was so excited to see that. So after that, there was also a Goodwill on the way back to the hotel. So I picked up American Psycho because we've been talking about it lately. So I was just like, why not? Kind of a classic. Is that a classic? And then Angelica Houston, is that how you say her name? Watch Me, which is her memoir. So those are the books I got today. As I said, I did get books at the Poe Museum because I got a graphic novel collection that I've been wanting a really long time. And then I got the, it's a penguin bind up. It has, what is it? The Fall of the House of Usher and some other works by Poe. I feel like I got 3 books. Oh, I got one that is a historical fiction. And then I got a magnet. I got a sticker. My dad got a postcard. I think that's everything that I got there. I think that is. But that is what we've done today. I did save the fries for my lunch. They're in my purse, so I do need to go get that because I am hungry. I have not read today, so it is 4 o'clock. So I think I'm gonna finish up Appalachian Reckoning, and Chalice and the Blade I will try to get to today. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. But what are my thoughts on Richmond so far? So I would say it definitely meets my expectations. For my dad, it went over his expectations. Like, he has liked it a lot more than he thought he would. Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. So to remind you also, my dad he grew up in Newport News. I have the map right here, which is just right down the interstate. And when he was young, he said Richmond was a dump. That, like, in the 70s, a lot of major cities in the United States, New York, you know, were dumpy and run down. So it has, I guess it's changed a lot since then. And yeah, it's definitely, I like the downtown area. Would I live here? No, purely because of the hills. I like flat land because I'm somebody, you know, I don't drive, so walking and like bikes, that is my, you know, transportation. And you know, especially being on the fall line. So the fall line, I think we talked about at the start of the vlog, because I live pretty close to a fall line too, but is where you're gonna have your mountain, so mountains up here, coast over here, that air meeting, and it's just bogs you down, very humid, very hot. I've liked Richmond. Yeah, I've liked it. I've not really any complaints about it. I mean, I told you the hills. I did not realize there were so many hills here, especially downtown. It was like San Francisco or Asheville. I mean, nothing compares to the hills in San Francisco. That city is so steep. But yeah, so I'm gonna snack, and as I said, probably get an Appalachian Reckoning. I'm gonna head out again at 5 to go to another Goodwill location. It's 4:17 right now. I'm always gonna apologize for hotel room lighting. I don't know why it's always just so dark. I guess for people sleeping and to relax. But I just finished Appalachian Reckoning. I don't know how many pages I read today, so it was only one little essay, so I'm gonna have to write that down. But I am giving this somewhere in the 2-star range, just because I don't think I was the target audience for this. And I was misadvertised for it. So when I heard about Appalachian Reckoning, I thought people saw what JD Vance wrote and they're like, so these would be people telling their own Appalachian stories of what their lives were like in Appalachia. No, like the second to last section is that, but the majority of this is a critique of Hillbilly Elegy, which I have not read. So I'm like, I have no idea what he's saying in there. So these people are just be BSing this. I highly doubt they are, but I've never read Hillbilly Elegy. So I am like, I can't be like, okay, I have to be like, okay, I'm taking your word for it, because I have no idea what he was saying in that book. And I just think that this is a bit much, because, okay, for somebody like me who is, you know, Appalachian, or like, you know, part Appalachian, my family comes from there, and somebody who spends time in Appalachia every few months. So for me, I know what Appalachia is. Now, when JD Vance wrote his book, apparently, again, because I have not read it, that he generalizes the Appalachian experience, saying that everybody had like the same experience that he did. Everybody's poor, everybody has a family member on drugs, and it's just and they got themselves in that situation. The government, coal mining companies, big pharma didn't put people in these situations. So that is what he is saying in his book, apparently. And to me, it's common sense to know that a region with millions of people, not everybody's going to be the same. Like, that's just common sense to me. But I think this is really good if, one, if you've read Hillbilly Elegy, two, if you've never been to Appalachia, because again, I know what Appalachia is like. I don't need these people to tell me what it's like, and I have common sense to know that not everybody there is quote unquote white trash, as JD Vance is saying. So yeah, it wasn't really for me, but I did have some false advertising, and it is a critique of a book that I haven't read. So no, I wouldn't recommend it necessarily, but I would recommend it if you have those views, if you have never been to Appalachia or don't really know much about it, and if you've read Hillbilly Elegy and want a critique of that. So those are my thoughts on Hillbilly Elegy, or not Hillbilly Elegy, on Appalachian Reckoning. So it's like, if I do ever read Hillbilly Elegy, do I keep this? I don't know, because what are the chances that I will actually read Hillbilly Elegy? So I think I'm going to unhaul this, but I'm not 100% certain at this moment. So when I was saying recommended, I more so should say with a maybe rather than a no, because this isn't like a straight up 2-star, because it will be on Goodreads, but I don't do decimals on my Goodread or on my essay collection. So just know it's somewhere between a 2 and a 3, because I do like the idea of this book and think these kind of books are important, but it just wasn't for me personally. Okay guys, so I didn't get to read in the 6 o'clock hour, like, you know, after 8, I was like, oh, maybe I should read from 7 to 7:30, and then from, you know, 9 to 9:30. But no, that's when my dad was like, we're going to 7-Eleven at 7-Eleven. But I did go, oh, I had them over here. I did, and I guess I'll show you what I got at Goodwill too, so Paul. Okay, so I don't remember what I said earlier and what I'm saying to my friends and TikTok and all of that. So when I went to get dinner, there was a high school next to the shopping center the restaurant was in, and the high school had a little free library, so I stopped at that, and they had The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I I think I've read one of his in high school, but I've wanted to read this before I read James by Percival Everett, so I've picked that one up. And then on my most recent outing, and oh, I just noticed this is stained, but I picked up 2 books at another little free library, and I got The Life of Pi by Jan Martel. I've been meaning to pick this up. I wanted to find a conditioned copy and I did not realize. So stains right there. Next, this is a new release, and that is The Sirens by Amelia Hart, who I read the other book by. Oh my gosh, look. Does this one have that too? No, they didn't stamp the paper back, but okay. So this is, again, a new release. Wayward was the one I read by Amelia Hart, but this is her new book, her second book, so I picked that up. But then what I got at Goodwill, so I got 3 books at Goodwill. So Sharon Osbourne, I know she's a controversial person, but like y'all know Ozzy died yesterday, so I watched like the first 3 episodes of their TV show yesterday, and like, I mean, Sharon Osbourne, like, oh, what was that picture? Okay, that was when Amy was born. But yeah, so I think she even has the new book coming out soon, but you know, I thought it would be kind of interesting, especially with the recent events. Then this one I saw on somebody's, I think it was on Emmy's YouTube channel, and that is Wide Sargasso. We have a lot of that here apparently. See, not here in Richmond, but see, by Jean Rees. And this is basically kind of a retelling of Jane Eyre. The next book I got is by a favorite author of mine, and that is The Stranger in the Lifeboat by Mitch Albom. Really good condition there. And then these 2 things, they wrapped up. You know, Goodwill in South Carolina, they never give you bags to put your stuff in, but this dog, it's a little like spaniel, and I just thought it was so cute, so I picked that up. And then this little dish, that is a fish. I was like, if it's still there when I go back around, I'll get it. So this fish, and that is what I got. Y'all know I went to another Goodwill location earlier, but that stuff is kind of bigger. I got some bookends and then like a plaque for the wall, so that, you know, I don't have it here. But yeah, so, and I did get my Slurpee because we don't have 7-Eleven where I'm from. So good. It tastes like Jolly Ranchers, like mixed with Kool-Aid. That's what I would say it tastes like. Okay, but my meal got sauce all, like, it's not sauce, like it's the like garlicky stuff, just it's all on the table. I'm wiping, nothing shows up on here, but it looks shiny, you know, like it looks greasy when I walk by. So I don't know, maybe I should wipe it. This is wood and I don't want to mess anything up, so you know. But I don't know what I was going to say before that, but I will be starting The Chalice and the Blade. Read for 30 minutes, and so I wanted to tell you like what this is about. So The Chalice and the Blade, Our History, Our Future by Ryan Eisler, I think is how you say the name. It actually does not have a description on the back of the book, so I'm just making, you know, assumptions of what it is about, but I think it's about okay, chapters: The Chalice and the Blade, the beginnings of civilization, the world of the goddess, Crete, from Chalice to Blade, excuse me, the legacy of the goddess. And so basically we only, like, in a lot of religions, there's that central, like, maternal figure in Christianity as Mary. And it's, where does that stem from? And basically back in prehistoric times across like Europe and Asia, really all over the world, there's been figures found like this, but it's been most prevalent in Europe, that there have been these figures, which are Venus figures, which are obviously an image of a woman made in the image of a woman. And I don't think there's pictures in here for me to show y'all. There's some diagrams, but yeah, no real good pictures. So it's like, where does that stem from? Why do, like matriarchal society, how it changed? And Isabella Allende even left a blurb on the back. It's rare to see fiction authors leave blurbs on a nonfiction book. But yeah, it says on here from Ashley Montague, the most important book since Darwin's Origin of the Species, which is crazy. Also, I saw today that Poe was born the same year as Abraham Lincoln and Charles Darwin, and I just associate Charles Darwin like way after Abraham Lincoln. So like just seeing those time frames, that's like Martin Luther King Jr. and Anne Frank, and I think Queen Elizabeth were all born the same year. It's just so crazy to think about. But I'm going to start this in 10 minutes because I do need to chill because I've just been go like all day. And yeah, like I need to take a chill pill, y'all. I want to go through my notes. Actually, I don't have them up on my phone. You see, I am like discombobulated. I have had caffeine today. I've only had caffeine today and then this. So like I need to be more on it. So as I said, I just read the introduction, so we haven't gone into like the straight up history yet, but the author's reasoning of making this book, what this book is going to be about. And again, this was published in, I think it said 1987. So mind you, more historical evidence or, you know, anti-evidence might have been discovered since this book was published. And things are always changing because research is always being done. New historical discoveries are happening every day, and especially with the technology that we have nowadays, which is just talking about having high technology back then, which obviously now we don't see that technology as high technology, but that's to say it's always changing. This came out a little over 30 years ago, and it's just a constantly changing thing. So we are going to go through my notes. So the Chalice and the Blade tells a new story of our cultural origins, just a way to describe it to y'all. So this had me thinking, the first page of the introduction is, we're all familiar with legends about an earlier, more harmonious and peaceful age. So the Bible tells of the garden where woman and man live in harmony before a male god decreed that woman henceforth be subservient to men. Then the Chinese Tao Te Ching, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, describes a time when the yin or feminine principle was not yet ruled by the male principle of or yang, a time when the wisdom of the mother was still honored and followed above all. So that makes it seem like there was once a time where it wasn't a matriarchy, it wasn't a patriarchy, but people were together. It was a partnership is what the author is calling it, that there was a time in society, in our culture, where things were ruled by both. And it didn't need to just be women on top. It didn't need to just be men on top. That we need to work together. We need to be harmonious with one another. And then it also makes me feel like we've always had nostalgia, because think of the people who were writing the Bible or, you know, writing the Chinese legend and, you know, all these other different religions. People have always looked back and being like, things were better in the past. And the author does talk about that we have to move forward as people. We can't go backwards. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then it's talking about how it makes sense that there were these women figures, or are women figures in religion, because when people have questions of like, where are we before we were born? What happens after we die? They must have noted that life emerges from the body of a woman, and it would have been natural for them to imagine the universe as an all-giving mother. From those womb, all life emerges, into which the cycles of vegetation it returns after death to be again reborn. Never thought about that. So then what is the Chalice and the Blade? So the Chalice is society when there's not a lot of bloodshed, because these people were, as I said, working together in a partnership. Civilizations were, I don't know if I want to say civilizations, but groups of people were, you know, living as equals, and there wasn't a lot of violence. They were just gardening because they were coming up with gardening. They were coming up with agriculture. All of these things were just being discovered by humans. But then at some point in history, invaders come with blades, and that is where violence comes from. So that is the blade, and the chalice is, you know, the peaceful, like, gathering people, I guess. It says, which identifies social characteristic of rigidly male-dominated societies are the ones that are more violent. we see striking commonalities. All these otherwise widely divergent societies are not only rigidly male dominant, but also have a generally hierarchic and authoritarian social structure and a high degree of social violence, particularly warfare. Now let's talk about a society where it is more, equal. Conversely, we can also see arresting similarities between otherwise extremely diverse societies that are more sexually egalitarian. Characteristically, such partnership model societies tend to be not only much more peaceful, but also much less hierarchic and authoritarian. This is evidenced by anthropology data, and then it has parentheses of some of those sources. By contemporary studies of trends in more sexually egalitarian and modern societies, example Scandinavian nations such as Sweden. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but obviously, so I'm like, I don't know if we are a patriarchy. I mean, right, we have a man in power, but you have to think we do have women in high places as well. It was just kind of, I don't know. And that's why we read to learn. And so what is this story going to do? So these chapters, they tell a story that begins thousands of years before our recorded or written history. The story of how the original partnership direction of Western culture veered off into a bloody 5,000 year denominator detour. So how we got to where we got to today. But that is what I read in The Chalice and the Blade. Interesting, but I do want to get more into, actually going through history rather than just seeing this is what this book's going to be about. But that's where I started. You always have to start somewhere. I'm going to go get a shower and I will read in Edge of Eternity later. Happy Thursday. So I will talk about everything that we did. So first, when we left the hotel, our first stop of the day was the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. I think that's the name, so if it's not, my bad. And that shows like all aspects of history. I mean, it goes back like 11,000 years, showing like Clovis points and all that, and then obviously going to the present. I don't remember what the most recent thing I saw. Well, they had like movies that had Virginia connections, planes because NASA is here. So it really just shows, and it shows like it's very like diverse and everything, and it doesn't really leave like anything out because the state is so old, one of the first states. And then, as I said, it obviously showed like the indigenous history as well, going all the way to like current day. So there was a lot, and I would definitely recommend. So I did not get to see everything just because there was so much, but that's reason to come back to go to the museum. After that, this was going to be my shopping day. So Fountain Books on their, if you type their name in, like on Google, it said they were closed on Thursday. But it's like on their Instagram story, they said they are moving and are going to be open on Thursday at 11 a.m. So I was like, it says they're open, so let's just drive by and see if they're open or not, because I've been following them on Instagram for a while, and they were open. So I got to go there, and they were so nice. This was their first day in this new location. They moved across the street, and this, as I said, their first day in that new location. And I'm gonna show y'all everything I got. But then after that, so that's all more downtown. So then we went Carytown, which is west of downtown, and I went to Shelf Life. I think I also followed them on Instagram. They had two cats, Paige and Myar, I guess is how you say the name. I feel like that's from something, Myar. And I got 3 books there, and they have used books as well. And just everybody has been so nice at these stores, and I really appreciate it. And then after that, so we did go to a record store. All the Aussie ones were sold out, and then I was gonna get Shabuzi because I wanted to get a Virginia artist, but I went through every genre because I was like, I consider him country, did not see him in country. I looked at pop, what's not in pop. I looked at rap, I looked at soul. There was no Shabuzi. So I don't even know if he has a vinyl out, but I looked anyway. And then we went to Target because I needed makeup remover wipes, and then I just got eaten up by mosquitoes yesterday, so I got some, like, what is this print on my leg? Like, what is that from? Y'all can't see it. There's like a weird print right there. That so I had to get rubbing alcohol because I've had mosquito bites. Then I went to Shake Shack, which is one of my favorite restaurants, but we don't have it at home. I went there, and then, so when we originally thought Fountain Bookstore was going to be closed, my dad found another one that is to the west. I don't know which way's west from where I'm sitting, which was Book People, and I don't think I recorded in there. I did take a picture of the sign. I wish I would have recorded, but I didn't think to. So I went there. You know, they had the worst position to be in last place, so I already had 6 books that I've bought today, new and used. So when I was there, I was just, you know, having a hard time finding the books that I wanted. Like, I did not see a horror section, so the one horror book I've been wanting I couldn't find anywhere. But yeah, so that's everything I did. And then at 4:30, I don't know what time it is right now, my phone is over there, and I forgot to put my watch on today. So like I keep telling you, my dad is from Virginia, so one of his friends from high school is a dentist, and his office is like near here, so we're gonna go like drop in, and I think that's gonna be so funny, just walking into a random dentist office. Like, yeah. And then we're gonna go to, my dad said U of R, so the University of Richmond, just check them out. And those are the plans for the rest of the day, it's looking like. So I probably won't read until like 6 o'clock, but I am gonna show y'all what I got at the stores. So this is Fountain Bookstore. I did not get anything at the museum. They did have a gift shop with books and everything, but I did not get anything. So they had these at the, they didn't have a Virginia one, but they had the flag at the museum. But I've always wanted to do like Virginia, like a tomahawk, like throw it like a tomahawk. I know, abusing Virginia. So we're like up here. We're like over here. Virginia. Yeah, a little plushy Virginia. I just thought it was too cute. So then my dad got this, that is their little like newsletter, I guess. Fountain Fair. So yeah, they have some of the staff's picks, which I always think is super fun. So I don't recognize any of these books, so that's cool. You know, discovering new books. Okay, so this one is by a 5-star author, and that's Layla Motley with The Girls Who Grew Big. This is about like teen mothers in Florida. It says, an astounding novel about the joys and entanglements of a fierce group of teenage mothers in a small town on the Florida panhandle. Her writing, amazing, and she's so young, and you would think that she's written so many books, but no, she's just gifted. And then this one, another Florida book. This was not intended to get all these Florida books. I wanted to get this one in Florida, but my mind was just, I was starstruck, so I didn't go about that. This is Stop Me If You've Heard This One by Kirsten Arnett, which I think is about a woman who is a clown, like she dresses as a clown. It says equal parts bravado, tenderness, and humor, and bursting with misfits, magicians, and mimes. Stop Me If You've Heard This One is a masterpiece of comedic fiction that has big questions about art, performance, friendship, and community, and the importance of timing in jokes and in life. Cute. And my dad also got a book, Tim Kaine's book. So Tim Kaine was governor of Virginia, and then he ran as like the vice president for Hillary Clinton. I don't remember which election that was in, but yeah, so that's who that is. But I also got Deep Cuts. TikTok made me finally pick up this book. This is by Holly Brickley. Is this the blurb here? No, okay. Oh, and this is I got a bookmark, and then the stickers are free there, which is awesome because so many of the ones I go to, you had to pay for the stickers, so shout out to them. So this is Moving from Brooklyn Bars to San Francisco Dance Floors. Deep Cuts examines the nature of talent, obsession, belonging, and above all, our need to be heard. Need to be heard. I can relate to that, definitely. I'm always like feeling like nobody listens, so relatable. And these are all books. I had a list on my phone of books that I want, and because you know, and July is my birthday. I'm on this trip for my birthday, to let y'all know. So okay, my battery is dying. Okay, we had to switch to the phone, so I'm like, sorry, the audio is bad or anything like that. I was like, I'm not gonna bring my camera charger, I'm not gonna need it. So I don't remember what I was saying about, I had a list because I knew I'd be going to indie bookstores this month, and you know, I don't limit my buying in July, so I had a list of books that I like really wanted, and those were on there. So next we have Shelf Life, and this one's from the other one. I just didn't get back. We have The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. I've been wanting this book so bad. This was in the 10 best books of 2023. This is about an Irish family in London in like 2008. So The Bee Sting, Paul Murray's exuberantly entertaining new novel, is a tour de force, a portrait of post-crash Ireland, a tricomic family saga, and dazzling story about the struggle to be good at the end of the world. So maybe it's not in London, and I'm thinking of another book, but we got that one. Then this was, I wanted to get the new S.A. Cosby since I am in Virginia and he's from Virginia, and she was like, you can run upstairs and we have a used copy of this and it's gonna be half the price. And I was like, no, it's okay, I'll get this. So just if y'all are in the Richmond area, do that. You have that option. So this is King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. It says, a son returning home, a dangerous debt, secrets about to ignite, and a family about to be consumed by flames. And then this is the used book I got, which is Nicholas, The Epic Journey from Saint to Santa Claus by Jeremy Sill. And y'all know, I love Santa Claus, so I wanted to get this. It is a fascinating biographical travelogue. Jeremy Sill traces the evolution of one of the greatest cults of modern times, the rise of Santa Claus from his origins in Byzantine Turkey to his role as the jolly man who grants every child's wish. Also, the bookmarks were free, and they had the little kitties on it, so I got that. And then at Book People, which is the one that was like kind of far out, I got this one this was not on my list of books that I was on a mission to find. This is The Stained Glass Window, A Family History as the American Story, 1790 to 1958 by David Levering Lewis. And this is he shares, and this is a Pulitzer Prize recipient, shares his own family history to shift our understanding of the larger American story, and I did get a bookmark there as well. And that's the book haul. That is the loot for the day. I have y'all in the mirror, or not mirror, I have y'all in the window, sorry. So we did go see my dad's friend from high school, and it was just like so iconic getting to see. So they hadn't seen each other since 2002 at their high school reunion. And sorry, I need to be looking this way since I'm filming on the phone. So that was really nice, and he was really nice getting to meet him. So after that, we went to the University of Richmond and went around their campus. So many hills, guys. I did not realize that Richmond has so many hills, but again, with the fall line, since we keep talking about that, it makes sense because Columbia is also like a really hilly city. So because Columbia is on the fall line and on the fall line in South Carolina, and I am looking for planes right now. If y'all are like, why are you looking up? But yes, so we went to that campus and just walked around because they have a lake and all of that. So we just hung out there. Nice campus, got more mosquito bites. And after that, we went to Chicken Salad Chick, which I finished eating all that. I got the Buffalo Barclay, a small, and mac and cheese as a side, and I didn't get a drink since I already had a drink here. And it's something that in high school I would always get a drink at a restaurant even if I had drinks at home, but now I'm like, no, we don't need to be having all of that excess caffeine, possibly sugar, because the drink I'm drinking right now has no sugar, but we don't need to be doing that. So you know, self-control, self-restraint, you know, so I restrained myself and didn't get a drink. But the crackers from Chicken Salad Chick are so good. We don't have that where I'm from or in my town, so I'm definitely like going to have to look up, can you order those crackers online, like please? And she gave me so many, so like thankful for that. So I did not get to read in the 6 o'clock hour, but I will be reading in the 9 o'clock hour. So we're probably only going to get like a chapter of the Chalice and the Blade Red, and I know we're nearing the end of the vlog, so I don't know what that will be. After I read that for the night, that's when we will wrap up the vlog. So I'm sorry this ended on iPhone footage, but I mean, I'm sure y'all understand that camera batteries don't last forever, and I was dumb and didn't bring my charger, so it's on me. So yeah, y'all can blame me in the comments for not bringing my charger. But I did want to update y'all to let y'all know that everything did go well this afternoon. It was a good day today, so tomorrow I will be going home which I usually edit my vlogs on Thursday, but I didn't bring my laptop either, and I was like, it's gonna be fine because I'm gonna be home Friday because the video has to go up Saturday. But I just didn't want to bring a ton of stuff, you know, because my suitcase is probably gonna be pretty heavy for all the books. So I got 7 books today, and then add in all those other books. And Chalice and Blade is the only book that I brought with me that I haven't finished, because I finished the 2 other books that I brought with me. So, you know, kind of excessive, but that's all that I have to say right now. Just want to give you all an update. Oh, and the power went out. So, okay, the AC, it hasn't been like working good, so don't try this at home, and I don't even know if I should say it in the vlog, but you know, we work in hotels, so my dad took the filter out and cleaned it because it was all like just covered in dust. Like, it was filled, you know. So he took the filter out, cleaned it, put it back in, and that seemed, you know, to get it going. So like, it was working when I got back after lunch, you know, and everything. But when I got back from, you know, chicken salad chick, and I came in and there was just like a little puddle of water on the floor under the AC. So we think that it froze and was just dripping. So we upped the thermostat to 70, and now it's not dripping. But also, when I was eating my dinner, the power went out for just like a millisecond. Like, it was very short-lived. I don't think I've ever had the power go out at a hotel before. I only read 8 pages in here. It did not, like, I read for a good like 20 minutes, and it was only 8 pages. So this was all about the Paleolithic time, and kind of like art and findings that kind of point towards this theory that the author has. So at Cromagon Cave, or in France, they found bodies, and there were these seashells all around the bodies, and these shells happen to be in the shape of vaginas. And so they're like, okay, that's interesting. And then red ochre, which red ochre is very prevalent on bodies in burials of this time period. I'm not sure at this point when this book was published how well known that was, but now it's a common find in those kind of sites. So people are like, or the author is like, could be supposed to look like menstruation blood, because they put it on the hips and the lower body of people. Also, in the cave paintings of animals, of showing these hunts, it is always the female animal that is ahead of the male animal. So it's like, is male following the female? You know, did they have equal roles? Also, when they have found, so it did talk about the Venus figures, and how a lot of people were like, that was basically just eroticism for men. Yeah, which I don't think so, but, and the author doesn't think so, that all of this points towards some kind of female-centered religion. Other findings were there would be figures of animals, so like what is that called when it's like animals that kind of look like humans? So like when you see like cartoons like Arthur, for example, that would be one, that they are animals, but they're, you know, walking, talking kind of thing, that they have arms like humans rather than, you know, walking on all fours. So they are only, or I'm not going to say always, but for the most part have been found with female bodies rather than male bodies. And then with in the cave, it looks like there was some kind of ritual done, some kind of dancing ritual, because of the imprints of feet that have been left for, you know, millennia. And that's amazing to think about. And it's female feet, so it's like, why are they the ones doing the rituals if they were not the center of the religion? With the caves, a lot of times when anthropologists have gone in to the female portions of these religious ceremonies have always been center of the cave, and the male instances have been in peripheral view. So the female is straightforward when male is to the side, you know, you're not getting a full-on shot of it. So it's all seeming to point that there must have been a female-centered religion, and that is what evolved to Magna Maurya, which we see in Anatolia, and then we can see like Circe, Demeter, you know, I had to highlight one of my girls, Sybil, Hera. Egypt, we have Ishtar, Lilith in the Fertile Crescent. And, you know, eventually we see the Queen of Heaven, whose groves are burned in the Bible. We see Shekinah of Hebrew Kabbalistic tradition, and then the Catholic Virgin Mary, the Holy Mother. So the author is questioning, why are these, if these connections are so obvious, why are they ignored or downplayed? Why is that the case? Why is nobody really talking about all these instances that are being found that seem to be connected, but nobody is really acknowledging it? So that's all from the Paleolithic. But we're going into the Neolithic next, and I see Kyle. I've never seen it spelled like this, but Katahuak. That's, I know, I'm seeing it spelled like that is really making my mind not work. Which was like an underground. They all lived in these houses that were, everything was under a roof. And it's in Anatolia as well, in modern day Turkey, out in the desert. It's very arid out there. And again, it's pointing to it being a matriarchal society. No, I didn't learn that from this. I learned that from watching videos, and I actually watched a TED talk about it, and then from seeing in other videos and articles that I've read. It's very interesting, so I cannot wait to get to that. But I'm going to be ending the vlog here. I hope you enjoyed coming to Richmond, Virginia with me. If you made it through, oh, well, the wrap-up part. So I read 396 pages on Monday, and ever since I've only read about like 40 pages a day. I've only read 8 pages today so far. We'll begin into Edge of Eternity after my shower, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way through, leave some kind of birthday emoji in the comments below. And as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring that notification bell to be notified when all my videos go live. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!